I am not going to wade into the entire F-bomb thing that played out over the weekend. We have long grown accustomed to, and some of us, not me, but some of us have grown wary of President Trump's caustic relationship to the English language. That caustic relationship to the English language is by several orders of magnitude more profane this second term than it was President Trump's first term. So what matters? What matters is the president attached to this language leads the world's most powerful military and has at his disposal the largest arsenal of the most lethal weapons, conventional and nuclear, on Earth. And though the president said today Iran has presented a significant offer to end the war, that offer is not enough. And the president said if Iran does not meet his still unspecified terms by 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, he will unleash waves of bombing runs to inflict maximum damage on Iranian civilian populations.
We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours.
That could be an exaggeration. It could be a glimpse of destruction to come, or it could be hardball negotiating. On that last item, negotiation, the president, for whom exaggeration is tactical and distracting, sometimes both, said something quite curious about the state of actual dialogue with Iran.
Like, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth.
A note back and forth? Carried by a child? Seriously? Well, probably not. Then why say it? Who knows? What we did learn was important today. The Strait of Hormuz, quick reminder, that's the oil and natural gas shipment route from Iran to the Arabian Sea and from there to energy markets east and west, became much clearer today thanks to this question posed by my colleague, Weijia Jiang.
Just to clarify, in order for Iran to successfully meet your deadline tomorrow, do they have to make a deal, open the strait, or both?
We have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of that deal is going to be we want free traffic of oil and everything else.
We begin tonight at the White House with the aforementioned Weijia Jiang. Weijia, great to have you. Lots of ground covered in the press conference this afternoon. We're going to talk to Aaron MacLean in a moment about what we learned tactically about the rescue operations. I want to talk to you about other things that came up. First of all, the president made reference to this regime change in Iran, smarter, sharper, more reasonable. Is that something he really believes?
Well, it's something that he has been publicly messaging, Major. But to be frank with you, one of my questions on my list that was not answered during this briefing is, who are you talking about? Can we get a name?
Right.
Can we get a person? Because he has referred to the president of Iran's new regime, saying that person was the one who asked for a ceasefire last week. He has said that they are far more reasonable than the previous regime and that he is much more optimistic that they'll be able to reach some kind of deal. But we have no idea who he is talking about, Major. And so it's unclear why he is expressing this optimism. There is a speaker of Iran's parliamentary that could be the person, but that person has been very vocal, too, pushing back on Trump's rhetoric and saying, you know, we're waiting for you, essentially. If you escalate this war, we are here. So that is a great question, Major, one that unfortunately was not answered today, but an important one, because whether they are trading paper notes or, you know, using a tin can, they are talking to somebody, right? And that matters because the clock is ticking on that deal that the president wants by tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern.
And Weijia, it was also asked of the president, what about the civilian population in Iran He said he wasn't concerned about committing war crimes by hitting civilian targets like power plants or bridges or desalination plants. But he also said that the Iranian people, through intercepts the United States has, wants the United States to bomb the country more.
This was a remarkable moment, Major, because obviously in his threat that he issued online in that profane-laced tweet and verbally today about bombing power plants and bridges back to the Stone Ages, that would hurt the very people, the Iranian people, who the president has claimed repeatedly he wants to help. He wants them to rise up, to overthrow the regime, to have a chance at a better life. And he was asked specifically, what about these people? Why would they want you to bomb the civilian infrastructure? And you're right, Major. He said they would be willing to suffer in order to have freedom. The Iranians, we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing, they are begging for, he says. So that's according to the president, that they're willing to make that sacrifice to endure what would come out of, bombed bridges and power plants in order to ultimately have some kind of peace. That's what he's claiming.
Many things that are unprecedented in this particular era. Civilians saying bomb us more might be near the very top of that list. Weijia Jiang, North Lawn of the White House, thank you very much. Going to move around the set here as I walk over to our CBS News national security analyst, columnist for the Free Press, MacLean, also host School of War podcast. We learned a lot today about this amazing, risky, tactically sound, really sound rescue operation. What did we learn?
A bunch of extraordinary detail, Major, about the two rescue operations that were mounted between Friday and today. The first, a broad daylight, hasty, preloaded, sort of sprung-loaded operation apparently led by Central Command, authorized by the president in the middle of the night, that flew into Iran with helicopters and C-130s taking fire along the way. The actual shoot-down now, we can't go into too much detail here because CBS News is still working on confirming some of these details, but it does appear that the plane went down further into the center of Iran than we thought on Friday. On Friday, there was a lot of discussion and speculation of this area kind of closer to the border with Iraq, because a lot of the footage that you saw on Friday of helicopters and C-130s in the air was in this area. But I think that's kind of explainable if you consider where those planes might have flown from, say from Kuwait to the center of the country, or if you're coming up from Qatar, but you don't want to fly all the way over Iran, you want to trace the Gulf and go there. I think you can see then why you end up with a lot of footage from this region.
A quick reminder that what you see initially on social media may not be the full picture.
That's right.
Keep that in mind for a lot of different reasons.
A very true thing. So you have that first very bold daylight rescue operation, which swiftly gets the pilot. But then a long day on Saturday as we think somewhere in the hills in the vicinity of Isfahan. We've spoken about Isfahan before. You'll remember Isfahan because it's the site of one of the principal nuclear sites in Iran that we've speculated a great deal could be a potential target for a raid. The pilot seems to have gone down in the terrain around Isfahan, very close to this site, and this forward base that was built by the United States Special Operations Command, Joint Special Operations Command, in the night Saturday into Sunday. Right. I think it's not crazy to imagine that that's a site that was pre-identified for other special operations we might execute in that region, and we ended up using it for this.
Right, and so they create this small base of operations, and what happened there? We learned some amazing stuff about what happened in not a nanosecond, but pretty quick.
Yeah, General Kane spoke very movingly about these Sandy missions that the A-10s and other aircraft run ahead to stay above the pilot and keep them safe while the rescue gets set up. At this forward refueling point out here in the desert of Iran, these planes landed. The president gave this vivid description of these helicopters. We can imagine these MH-6 Little Birds getting offloaded from the C-130s, assembled rapidly, and then flown out into the night to go to the top of the mountain where this aircrew member, this colonel, was hiding from the Iranians. Also, other air missions occurring in the vicinity to confuse the Iranians about the location of our airmen on the ground. And then, of course, disaster very nearly striking when the C-130s can't take off again. They're basically stuck in the mud at the site, thus leading to the launch of this second contingency operation, this Plan B, where new aircraft have to fly in, pick up our people, and we destroy the C-130s on the ground.
There is, just listening to you and from the briefing, there's like 3 movies in this.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Maybe a limited series.
Right. Because just very quickly, the colonel, he followed procedure, bails out, lands, and then gets to the highest point he can, waits a while before activating his transponder. All of that according to the training that backseater received.
That's right. And there's also this mysterious thread through the briefing today that we don't have every detail yet, but the president said a lot about it. The CIA director alluded to it, that the CIA played a big role in this operation, that there were human resources and technological resources employed. And just judging from the context of what the president said, it had to do with locating the the aircrew member at a great distance, being able to find this needle in a haystack. So I don't know if we're talking about a very high quality, high resolution optic, but something in that neighborhood where we were having trouble finding the guys, evidenced by the fact we didn't get him on Friday night. It took until Saturday night. Indeed, he wasn't flying out until dawn Sunday because of the trouble with the aircraft.
That's training, that's technology, that's personnel, and that's orders from the commander-in-chief. All came together to pull this off. Amazing stuff. Aaron MacLean, thank you so much.